Yo, yo. We alive. We alive. We alive. We alive. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we alive, baby. I'm gonna tell you right now, it is already 5:01, so we're gonna get right into it. So let me go ahead and do my intro.
Yeah, so I have four great adult children.
Awesome.
He's definitely in the community. He did run for Senate 2 years ago. What?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So he was.
Let's talk about the founding of the Distinguished Gentleman's Club.
Absolutely. So about 8 years ago.
You said you're a mother. So how many children?
I have five kids.
Okay.
Meeting where they started saying that I was their African American, and they got this from our president. You know, they were noted.
So what were you doing when you were young? The first or the second time? Before the first time.
So I was in and out.
Good. Awesome. So that really is a great place to transition.
And who is sitting across from me or beside me is never going to sway that.
Listen, man. One, I'm not gonna cry on this episode.
Yeah.
I made it through all of these episodes. I think I've cried once. In Congress, what are the things that you're most proud of accomplishing? You know, as a congressman and as whip.
Real Talk with Rajon.
Yo. We are live and we are back. Y'all already know what time it is. It's Real Talk with Rajon. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with Rajon, where nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, Rajon Lewis. Now, John, everything we be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. For those who are new to the show, Real Talk with Rajon has a goal of shining a light on the great things and the great people that exist right here in the Low Country. I know we talk about everything going on all across the world and all across the nation, and I know that y'all are talking about what's going on with Quavo and all these people outside our area. But I'm telling you that right here in the Low Country, we have amazing people and amazing things. And I know I say this a lot on my show, but I need y'all to understand that there are levels to this thing, right? I have friends and then I have family. And today I get to bring on someone that I love, respect, admire for all the things that she's done, all the person that she is, and just what she brings to the table when you talk about just genuineness and heart. And when you talk about the world of activism, you talk about people who got into the game, hit the ground running, and have really, really made a name for themselves by doing the right thing. I think of none other than my sister, Sharea Washington. What up, girlie?
Hello, everybody. It's a part of the Real with Rajon family. Hey to everybody.
So please introduce yourself to the audience.
I am Sharea Washington. I am the CEO of the Phoenix Project out of Berkeley County. I am also a part of the South Carolina Coalition of Black Activists and several other organizations I'm kind of in an alliance with, although I may not be a member of.
I love that. I know my screen just changed. So I love that you go ahead and put that out there. But before we hear a Real Talk, those who were with me, rocking with me for a while, they know I don't do the average interview. So we got to go way back in the time. Let's talk about who Sharea was. First, let's talk about Lil Sharea. Tell me about Lil Sharea. Give me a little background information for those who don't know.
Ooh, well, that's a journey, but we're gonna take it
Let's take it
expeditiously as we possibly can. Okay,
absolutely.
Little Sharea probably has experienced things that the typical person has not and survived, and because of it, wanted to stand in liaison for everybody they may have experienced like or even greater things. And so that's basically where it is. Of course, my platform has been many things. It was formally introduced in music ministry, i.e. gospel. It expanded from there. It became slightly more political, although I don't really get into politics too much. I do sometimes have to stand in the gap for the things that happen as far as the political arena is, and things that happen and greatly impact the African American community. I'm still a very, very deep in ministry. However, I've taken ministry outside of the four walls of the church. So if I have to meet you in the park, I'm willing to do so. If you want to have coffee at Starbucks and we sit out, when we talk about personal testimonies and things that we had to do to survive and how it is that we have come to be who we are now, we could talk about that, whatever it is, whatever it takes. And I believe wholeheartedly you have to give yourself over to it, because like many people, this fight has been chosen for me long before I decided to enter in the race.
Yeah. Absolutely. So where are you originally from?
I am originally from Jamaica, Queens, New York. My family migrated here to right outside of Charleston, South Carolina, to the very small city of St. Stephen. I did get my primary schooling from the Berkeley County school system. I moved over a teeny little bit, you know what I mean? Sometimes in Georgia with my mom, back here in South Carolina, a little bit all over the place. But for the most part, it's been through the Berkeley County school system that I have been formally educated.
Wow. And we're definitely going to be talking about the Berkeley County School District and what's going on there. So I want to make sure we do mention that. But before we get there, I want to just keep walking down the road a little bit. So you mentioned, that you're a mother, right?
Correct.
So tell me about motherhood. How's that been for you?
Absolutely. Motherhood has been absolutely amazing. That's a journey in and of itself. It does not come with a manual. There is no booklet. There is no rules of engagement. There's nothing. You just kind of have to hit the ground running and do the very best that you can. I have 2 children at this point. They are 19 and 20 years old, both college students, neither in whom live in my home, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And I'm happy, that they have grown to be amazing young adults.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Nia and Raven. I hope y'all watching. If not, y'all need to do better, because your uncle be doing this podcast thing, and you should be watching. Anyway, but so you got so much going on. In addition to that, like we mentioned earlier, you got most people who know you originally know you from your singing. Can you speak a little bit about your background in music and in music ministry, if you will?
Background in music came out of church. For the most part, everything was exactly what they told me I had to do. And so I was sort of kind of boxed in to the singer that they told me I needed to be in order to make my environment conducive for worship and for ministry. But of course, life's challenges will sometimes force you to the outer walls of the church, whereas you had to minister. And I'm happy even that we brought this up. And the reason why my ministry has gone beyond the walls is I've done church for a very, very, very long time, but that was just it. It was instilled in me to do so I could do everything from the opening prayer to benediction, but I didn't get saved in church. I got saved in jail. And it was at that point that I realized that the path that I was going was definitely not a healthy path. And it wasn't a path that I wanted my children to one day walk down. So there were some things that I needed to clean up and clear up in my life. There was some hurts that I needed to heal from. There was some things that I needed to be held personally accountable for, so that I can be a better mother. I can be a better friend, a better sister, a better anything. And because I've gone down these roads, I can speak very, very candid about the mistakes that I've made and how I want to help prevent anybody from having to walk down those roads. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the punishments that I had to endure were unfair, and they were brought on by the system that I found myself in the midst of. There were other times where I was absolutely guilty. So it just depends on whatever the circumstances is, but I am not ashamed of anything that I've ever experienced. And so if you have a question, I'll be more than happy to give you the answer to. And I want to let everybody know that if you want to get the best answer and the most honest answer, come directly to me.
Absolutely. Now, I'm so glad you said that. I also, one thing I've always, admired and appreciated about you is your transparency about your road, about your journey. I know you a little bit better than most people. So, I make sure that I value our relationship. Like that's just something that I do, just because, like you said, you're the type of person, if you come to me, you ask me, I'm gonna tell you. You come to me, you ask me, I'm gonna tell you. And so that's definitely what I would say. So you mentioned, how your journey's really been different in terms of Christianity. So I don't want to I don't want to stay here too long, but I want to make sure that I do get this out, because some people, there may be somebody that's watching that may be able to benefit from that. You talked about the idea of being saved in prison, as opposed to growing up in church and not being saved in church. Can you speak to how that shapes the way you deal with people, as opposed to someone who may have just been churched up to understand that churching is churchy church?
Absolutely. Because I came up a certain type of way, I was taught to think, act, and react a certain type of way. But then when I started experiencing life for myself, I became more empathetic to the things that other people go through. I might not have experienced those things myself, but I know somebody that has experienced some of those things, and I can see how they would greatly impact your journey. Yeah. For example, drug and alcoholism, or criminal domestic violence, things of that nature. And people make decisions based on their then, based on the now that they live in, and they're not thinking of what the consequences could possibly be for their future or their children's future or the legacy that they're trying to live. And so they find themselves caught up in the system. And a lot of people, especially in the church, they try to hide certain things that they've gone through, not realizing that somebody is going through equal to or greater than what they have been through. And the only way for them to be able to get out is that somebody gives them the roadmap to the success.
Yeah. I love that. And so it just sounds like everything that you've done has really led to, you're getting involved in activism. It sounds like everything you've done, like, how do I better make the road better for somebody else? Can you talk a little bit about what made you get involved in activism and how that's been going for you?
Activism was chosen for me. So the last time I found myself caught up in the judicial system, these circumstances were incredibly unfair. And I'm happy that it's you that I'm having this conversation with, because you witnessed firsthand just how unfair that situation was. So some years prior, I had gotten a driving under the suspension charge, for which I was jailed for. And we paid the tickets and everything we hired an attorney. We did everything we needed to do. And then several years later, I want to say it was 3 or 4 years later, they picked me up on a warrant for not showing up to court for this ticket that was already dealt with prior. And they held me there for 30 whole days with no real explanation other than, we're looking through the paperwork. We're trying to figure it out. She's got to go before the judge. And people came and they went before the judge. They were given a bond. I was held on a non-bondable offense, as if I had attacked somebody egregiously, or it was a attempted murder charge or something like that. It was a simple driving offense, and I was held at 30 days. And then on top of that, because I was there for so long and they kept trumping charges, if you will, I was sent from the Berkeley County detention center to upstate, to the women's prison. Then we made a mistake, you weren't supposed to be there. And then of course I was released and I was let go, but I was let go with nothing other than an apology. We're sorry that this happened to you.
Wow.
And so, of course, and it's crazy, because prior to that, if somebody had said that things like that had taken place, I probably would have called them a liar, or I probably would have said that they were embellishing some of the facts. But having experienced it myself and everything that took place within that 30 days, it really reshaped my mindset. And it made me incredibly more empathetic toward other people that are going through. Sometimes people are guilty, but other times they're just caught up in the system and they really don't know how to get out. They don't have any avenues. They don't have any allies. They don't have any help. They don't have a support system. I was lucky to have had, you and my sister, my mom, my dad, several other friends that were willing to, as they say in the hood, hold me down while I was going through something like that. But there are a lot of people that do not survive that, and they have a difficult time trying to break their mindset from having gone through something that was that dismantling to your human psyche.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a thank you for sharing that story. Again, transparency, just the willingness to be who you are, live out loud, and not really care who has something to say about it. That's something I've always loved about you. Just people who don't know you don't know. And that's why I love that it's shining through even in this interview. So last year, right? You go through all of that. Last year comes, George Floyd gets killed. For a lot of people, that was a tipping point. It was like, yo, I can't sit back and do nothing anymore. What do and what was your reaction to it? Yeah.
My initial reaction, if I'm being 100% transparent, was an overwhelming amount of hurt because I have Black brothers.
Yeah.
I've got, my husband is an African American man. My father's an African American man, and it's very easy to see their face on this person laying on the ground asking for help and asking for his mom to step in. I could only hear through the ears of being a mother that my child is lying here begging for me to show up and to help, and there's absolutely nothing that I can do. And it was such an overwhelming emotional response that you would range from being incredibly angry and wanting to do something about that, to fear for retribution if you do try to do something about it, to just hurt. And then you go into protective mode that now you don't want the children to go outside because you don't know what it is that they have to face. Right. And so if you can keep them kind of wrapped in a bubble, then maybe these things don't happen. But then you have a Breonna Taylor situation that happens where you could be lying in your bed and they come shooting through your doors anyway. At what point are we ever safe? And so when you have the tenacity in you, not only having had survived several other things, but to see these egregious acts happening, you kind of can't sit still and you can't sit quiet. You kind of have to speak out and be like, listen, I need for things to change. Even if I don't live to see the change happen, I need for my children to live in a different world than I live in right now. I need for their children's livelihood to not feel like it's always at risk, if you will, for lack of a better way to say it.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. So that happens. You go from feeling that call to taking that first step and being outward about your activism. What was that journey like for you?
It was a very easy one. Only because the world took part in it. At this point, it wasn't a single person's fight. So prior to that, I was fighting against the Berkeley County Detention Center and fighting against the judicial system locally or whatever. But now this is everybody's jumping in the ring. And you got, boxing gloves coming from every direction. And you've got people as high in the political scene fighting. You've got people that have major platforms, celebrities that have major platforms joining in the fight. You've got your next door neighbor, standing beside you in a local protest as we're standing on a street corner, with signs. So it was a much easier fight because now you feel like, well, somebody's got my back and I'm not fighting alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long was it? Because I want to say, was the first event you went to that Million Man March thing, or was there ones that you got involved in before that?
I think that the Dorchester County protest.
That's right, Dorchester
that
County.
We had happened prior to that. So that was one of the first events that I put together.
Can you talk about that event?
Absolutely. So we were asking for representation in the school system in Dorchester too, and so we put together a protest and a rally and a march, if you will, just to raise awareness for the things that we felt happened there in Dorchester. Some of the similar things that happen here in Berkeley County and in Charleston County, the unfairness or the lack of equality for our students in the school system, and so we put together that particular rally for that, and then everything else just kind of snowballed from that. There were so many things, that took place. The marches for George Floyd, the rallies for Breonna Taylor, several. And those are just some of the more popular names, but several other things. The Rose Boys down in Charleston from the Battery. There was just so many things that just happen. And the crazy thing is things never are not happening. There's something almost always happening that you kind of had to be like, okay, well, here we go again. You may get a day of rest and then you're back out, again, having to fight for something else. But the tone has been primarily the same across the Low Country. It's a very, very heavy influence of racism.
Yeah.
And we're realizing that it's not just happening here below the Mason-Dixon line here in South Carolina or here in the southern states. It's happening all across the place. And we have to We got to join forces with everyone that we can, build alliances with everyone that we can, allow our allies to speak out on our behalf. But we just can't really give up, because if we stop fighting, what is it that our children are going to have to face? And as little progress as we feel we have made thus far, we live a completely different life than those that lived 60 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Said so well said. So let's just spin that forward. So you started out marching. Your first march was last year. I want to say around May, and now here we are in March of the following year, running into April. Some people, nobody's marching anymore. Why are you still out here?
Because we still need progress. I don't, because you know me on a personal level, you know that I am probably more tenacious than the normal person. I don't give up. I don't throw in the towel very easily. I give it everything that I have, and as long as I still have breath in my body, I still feel that I have a demand on my life to bring awareness to certain things, because I still have children, I still have family. I could very well succumb to illness or whatever the case today, but I want to know that my life's work meant something, and the legacy that I left behind made it easier for our children to live.
Yeah. So you have a march coming up this Saturday. Can you
Friday.
talk about the background information on it, and then how can they support that event?
Absolutely. So it's Friday, March the 2nd from 11
Friday.
until 2. We're going to march from Berkeley High School in Moncks Corner to the Berkeley County School District on Main Street, also in Moncks Corner. So it's about 3/4 of a mile away, one from one point to the other. And basically, it's just to raise awareness for the concerns that we have continually brought towards Berkeley County. I was just there for the school board meeting last week, Tuesday evening. And we continually bring up certain concerns that we have for our children in the school system that they choose to ignore. One of the things that they say is that, well, certain things don't happen on school campus. We can't hold anybody accountable for things that don't happen on campus. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I can give you a list of students that were suspended from school or expelled ultimately from an incident that did not happen on school campus, and you held them accountable. And the only clear difference that we can see is that our children of people of color versus the children that we have brought to your attention that we feel very, very strongly need to be punished are non-people of color.
So can you talk a little bit about the story that in regards to why you're marching?
Absolutely. So I'm not 100% clear on the date that it was released, but there were 2 children that went to Berkeley County or Berkeley High School, I apologize, that mocked the death of George Floyd by putting up, one was lying on the ground, the other's knee was in his neck, and they sent this out all over, social media as a joke. And then there was basically an unrest from almost every African-American student that went to that very same school. Like, this is disgusting, for you to do something like that, to mock the death of a man that we all watched all around the world. And we all had, pretty much the same response to that. We were hurt and we are disgusted and we're all of these things, and you need to bring it down. And some of those students even were threatened with suspension for responding negatively. Their reactions not being conducive to a healthy school environment, just threatened in every aspect, that there will be a punishment for your reaction, but we won't do anything for what caused you to react in that way.
So this is the photo, and I wanted to make sure I shared the photo so people could see exactly what she's talking about. If you look at this photo here, courtesy of AC News 4, you have these 2 young men right here, who are, and I want to make this a little bigger. They apparently, one is laying down, and the other guy has his knee on the neck of the other young man with his hand on his head and on his chest, and on the caption it says, "I can't breathe." And so my understanding is you all took this to the school district and said, "Hey, this isn't cool. Y'all have to do something about this."
Well, it wasn't us originally that took it to the school. It was the students that brought it to the attention of the authorities there in the school, and they felt ignored. And so at that point, they began to reach out to some of us that speak out on behalf of certain things that happen in the community, like, hey, we need your help. We have to go to school with these students, and we're not allowed to react emotionally or negatively to the things that they say to us. But this is why we're reacting in this way. But we feel that, there'll be retribution if we keep trying to speak out. But we really, really need you guys to help. And as a parent, when your kid keeps saying, look, I tried to do this the responsible way, and I tried to be as mature about the situation as they said that I needed to be, and they're ignoring what it is that I have to say, and this is very hurtful. I have to sit in the classroom with some of them. They are making racial slurs, even, face to face, but I'm being told you better not respond. And so, of course, at that point, the mother in me, of course, is going to rise up like, we got to do something about these babies feeling, this way. Never mind the fact that I'm an activist. I'm a mom first before anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., you are marching from Berkeley High School to the school board.
Correct.
School board building. And how can people, if they want to get information about this march, if they want to take part in it, what do they need to do?
Really, really simple. So anybody that's familiar with the Berkeley County area or the Moncks Corner area, you probably know where the high school is. There's not a sign-up sheet or anything like that. So you don't have to, do anything other than to just show up. But if you need more information than what's already out here, feel free to reach out to me. I have several social media platforms. I've got 2 Sharea Washington Facebook pages. I have a third page in which I will not release the name of the alias that page is under, because typically I have to keep that one up for when they try to silence the other 2 for things that we speak out against. But also, Instagram, Snapchat, we've asked every student that felt a certain type of way, to release it. So the flyer has been released over and over again. I will post it up yet again, and I apologize for not having sent it to you prior to now so that you could put it up here on the show. But I'll definitely make certain that it becomes more public than it is now. And it's just basic information. This is where we're marching from. This is where we're marching to, and this is why.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, sis. I love it. I want to talk before we close. I want to talk about the Phoenix Project.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the Phoenix Project is, and where did it come from? What is it, and what is it going to do?
Okay, so Phoenix Project started out, I guess you would say, as a ministry in response to trauma. So the first family that we helped, I believe, lost their home to fire. And basically, we just got the community involved, and people just began to give whatever it is they could. Of course, things were purchased, monies, were given or whatever. And from that point, we started putting together programs like a home for the holiday for families that were displaced for different reasons, fire, flood, eviction, whatever. And children were kind of scattered throughout the family to whomever, they could be. We wanted to bring them together so that they would be able to celebrate the holidays together. And so I would just reach out to all of my musical friends. We would come and put together a concert. We would raise the money. We would make sure that, that the family got whatever they needs. And it just kind of just began to grow and grow and grow. I never, ever meant for it to become a political platform or to become an activism platform. We just kind of turned into that just because of the response that is needed in the community to help out everybody that is experiencing some form of trauma, whether it be the lack of police reform, things that they're experiencing in the judicial system, things that the children are experiencing in the educational system, the lack of education, sometimes the lack of resources within the educational system, whatever. And so the team began to grow. I don't do it all. I have an absolutely awesome team, some research, some join me at the school board, whatever it is that, is needed. We have a team that is in place to help and to respond to anything that we can in our community, because that's what we need. We simply want to unify everybody that we can to help. And a lot of times people either don't ask for help for either fear or because they're ashamed of needing help, or simply just because they feel that nobody's going to understand what it is that they're going through. And so they begin to suffer alone. And I because I am 100% not ashamed of everything that I've been through, from being in jail and going to prison. I've also been homeless. I've been hungry. I've been, I've had to ask the government for assistance. I've, lived from one place to another. I've had to depend on my family to assist me or whatever. I've probably been through everything that you can think of. And so I speak from a very real and a very transparent place in saying that you won't get the help until you tell somebody that you need it. And I want to be, as helpful as I possibly can to help you get from where you are
Absolutely.
to where you want to be.
I love it. I love it, sis. I love it. And I've taken part in a couple of those benefit concerts that you had is it for the Phoenix Project. And I can definitely speak to the fact that you definitely are doing, God's work in that regard. Even, though some people may say if it's not in the church, it's not a ministry, but trust me, church don't have nothing to do with ministry. That's
Absolutely
a whole other thing for another day. That's another thing for another day. But you are definitely a walking, talking, breathing embodiment of that, and the work that you do speaks for itself. And I hope that everyone who's under the sound of my voice and can hear and watch this video can definitely understand the heart behind the work that's there. If somebody wants to support or donate to the Phoenix Project, what can they do?
So right now, the Facebook page, I know, is being revised. It should be back up by the end of the week, and the link to support that will be on there. I don't like for anybody to kind of give to me personally, because I like to be able to give an account to anything financial. So I'm asking for anybody to hold off any funds until we can get the link back up, and that those monies be accrued in a certain place. And not in my personal bank account. I believe 100% in accountability, and that's one of the quickest ways for people to kind of get caught up.
Yep.
In the meantime, there are several other things, because of definitely this is a community based situation. There are several other things that go on. You have mentoring programs such as the one that you have. Is it YLS? They
Low
can
Country
give to.
Youth Services.
Absolutely.
LYS.
They can give to that. You have the Liberation Fund that helps out, people that are picked up from rallies and protests and jailed, be able to, to get them out. There's several other things that you can give to right now, and it all goes toward the fight. Doesn't have to be mine personally. It helps, because we're all in this together. So the link will be released at hopefully by the end of the week, where you can give to the Phoenix Project personally. But in the meantime, I would like wholeheartedly, and I encourage and implore you to give to several other of the things that are happening in our community.
I love that. So many times you ask that question, people are like, yo, just send me the money, I'll figure it out. But instead, you just the heart of who you are as a person is like, nah, it's a lot of other stuff you could be giving money to too. So do that. I love that, sis. You just who you are. Just going back to the thing about the march, I do have the thank you, Justin, for sending the link, the flyer. So I'll make sure here is the flyer for the Black Students Teachers Lives Matter March for Black Students March, as she mentioned. Friday, April 2nd at 11 a.m. Marching from Berkeley County School Board. Marching to the Berkeley County School Board from Berkeley High School. So the meeting location is Berkeley High School. How soon should they be out there, since y'all are going to start marching at 11?
I would probably be out there no later than 10:15, just kind of, getting out there, making sure that we have bottled waters, things of that nature, and just kind of rallying everybody. We have to have like a bit of a pet rally, you know what I mean? Because a lot of parents have not come out prior to now for fear of retribution for either themselves or for their kids. And so we have to encourage them that they aren't out fighting alone. They don't have to go before the school board alone. They don't have to, step in the ring alone. I can promise you that we have every corner of that ring covered. There's somebody there. We aren't, we're all in the ring, together. So, but sometimes people do need that encouragement, and we have to empower other people to want to join the fight.
Absolutely. All right, sis. Well, I think we got it out there, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem. Anything else you want to put out there before we close?
No, we're good. Y'all just remember Friday, the 2nd, that's this Friday, and it's Good Friday. Everything about it is going to be good. And there is going to be progress. That is what we're aiming for progress.
Absolutely, sis. You already know. I appreciate you. I wouldn't be if I didn't ask. When we getting some music, man?
I'm working on music now. Not that I want to put my husband's information out or anything like that, but
shout out to no.
I probably have probably one of the greatest musical talents in the Low Country
Yeah, man.
here in my house, and so
And my
we are
buddy. And
absolutely
my buddy.
we
My
are working
friend.
on some things together. Of course, I go out and sing personally under the name of 50 Shades of Ray. In fact, I came out about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm going to be doing a bit more of that, just kind of get myself, back out there. I will release a gospel album, a gospel EP. I apologize. Will not be a full album, but it will be an EP. So I mean, there are definitely some great things in the works. There is a previous project that will be re-released, and that'll be done by the end of the year as well.
Nice. All right, sis. Well, I love you. I appreciate you.
Love you back.
And I definitely implore anyone who can, please go out there Friday, April 2nd at 11 a.m. Berkeley High School. Meet up there from Berkeley High School to Berkeley District. If for no other reason, for them to know that people like Sharea are not standing alone. It's so important that we support the people who are willing to put them out there. They're speaking for people who can't speak for themselves. They are putting their lives, they're putting their livelihoods on the line for you, for your children. So if this is something that you keyboard warrioring your way through this, make sure that you make your voice heard, like make your face seen. Even if you got to come out, we got a few people like Nick Roper who come out, and they don't show any parts of their face. So if that's your bag and you want to put a mask here and a hoodie here and things over your eyes so nobody can see you, put sunglasses on, go for it. But be there. Don't leave them out there by themselves, because when they go out there and they're by themselves, what that says to the larger community, or what that says to the powers that they're trying to change is you don't got to worry about them because they don't have any backing anyway. But when you go out there and you support them, then they know that if they just ignore them, they're ignoring a whole lot of people, and that's going to come back 10 times harder than it came the first time. So I want to make sure that y'all go out and support my sister, not just because she's my sister, but because she's an amazing person doing amazing work with an amazing team, with an amazing cause, with an amazing goal. And I want to see them win. And with that being said, this has been Real Talk with Rajon. Thank y'all so much for watching. As I've mentioned in my post, I'm doing a double header today, so I'm going to be off for about 20 minutes, and then I'll be back for the second half of my double header with Zandrina Dunning, Jillian Cohn, and Mr. Jay Davis, who are putting on a walk for autism this Saturday at the Cane Day YMCA. It's going to be going on from 12 to 9 o'clock. Tune in to find out about it. Not only is it an autism walk, but there's also a benefit concert to go with it to support autism awareness. April is Autism Awareness Month, if you didn't know. So let's make sure we're doing what we can do to support that. I'm not going to do my whole long ending spiel. I will just say this: God is everything, and without him, we are nothing. So never forget where your help comes from. And if a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything. Now that is Real Talk. I will see y'all in 20 minutes. Peace.
Peace.